Welcome back to the show. It is May 26th, Memorial Day. And we cannot celebrate Memorial Day without remembering why we celebrate Memorial Day. You know, it's a day of national day in the United States for honoring and mourning for the U.S. military personnel who died while serving in the United States Armed Forces. To the fallen soldiers and to the family of fallen soldiers, thank you for serving and protecting the greatest country in the world. I'm Nate.
Well said, Nate.
Yep, I'm Nathan Creeps, joined by my co-host, Mr. Bryce Bortscheller. Bryce, welcome to the show and happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day, everybody. Very, very chill Memorial Day weekend for myself, but you're coming off a Colorado trip that we were dying to dive into. I want to hear all about it. You got some mountain time, some golf time, some hiking, some Brad Paisley at Red Rocks. I need to hear all about
A
it.
very Memorial Day experience, right? You would say. And first
Yeah,
off, what a beautiful day out here in the state of Iowa. I don't know what it's like,
I
but
know
it's
it.
beautiful here
It's
in Cedar
nice.
Falls.
Yeah,
I'm
and it was supposed to be like
oh,
not great, and then it turned out to be
really,
like the best weekend ever.
God,
So,
yeah. So
yeah, overall, no complaints.
it makes it easier coming back to this weather. For the most part, we have pretty good weather in Colorado. But man, dude, I see the hype. I see that full on trend. Like everybody just packs up their bag and gets the hell out of Dodge and goes straight to Denver. You totally get it, man. Since we got there,
Hmm.
my brother-in-law, that's right, we went to visit him, and he has a beautiful place called in Brighton, which is on the northeast side of Denver, and in his background, mountains,
Hmm.
snow-capped mountains. He has no obstructed view. It's protected land behind him, so for as long as he's there, he's seen mountains every single day. So got there just fine out of Cedar Rapids to Denver. Uh, got to his place, had a chill night that day. The next day, we made our way to the mountains
Mm.
and about a 45-minute drive to there. And we hiked about a 4 mile trail that day. So beautiful weather,
Okay, nice.
got a little burn up there, but it was, I was expecting when you would get to the mountain, you would just go all the way up, and then go all the way down.
Hmm.
I was wrong. So you kind of drove up about three-fourths of the way, and you're up, down, up, down, up, down, which makes it a much tougher hike. I feel like.
Yes.
And
Yeah, and I hadn't done that either until last fall when we got engaged. The first mountain I ever hiked, and I totally thought the exact same thing. Thought you'd just go straight up. Thought it'd be a very steep incline, and there are of course those parts, but plenty of times where you're on almost like flat ground going down, then you have to go right back up as you're kind of explaining. So yeah, that's an interesting part of it for sure because you don't just stay in the same mode. You're almost like using more muscles, maybe.
yeah, I mean, you definitely felt it in the muscles next day, and I understand how much of a truck driving life I really have because my legs were not in shape. And
Yeah.
for the next 2-3 days, I felt it my Achilles, my calves, and it's like, damn, maybe I'm 30, but maybe I'm trucking too. So it was good. It was a good accomplishment.
Okay.
Yeah, what's up?
4 miles. Do you know how high you climbed?
No, I do not. God.
Okay.
Yeah, because obviously the elevation is another challenge on top of
Mm-hmm.
that. And I remember him saying, he's like, basically what you're doing right now is 5 to 6 times harder on your heart than it would be in Iowa, is what Jaden was telling us. So
Yeah,
6 times the
because of that.
elevation or something like that. Not, I was up there. You had a beautiful
Yeah.
view. Made our way back down, and then we made our way over to Golden, Colorado, which is
Mm-hmm.
host to the annual Golden Retriever meetup in Golden, Colorado. And we did not go there on that day. I wish we would have, but it is home to the Holy Land, the Holy
Coors
Grail,
Light, right?
Coors Light Factory.
Yeah.
And we drank at a cool bar right across the street from Coors Light Factory. And in the background, like Devil's Tower in Wyoming,
Mm-hmm.
there's like a miniature Devil's Tower right above the Coors Light factory. So it's like pinned between two mountains, and one's got like the miniature Devil's Tower. It's just everywhere you go, it's astonishing, right? And that's why these
Mm-hmm.
people move there because the view. So just to have a beer looking at Coors Factory saying, I've given you guys a lot of business, and I know a
Yeah.
lot of people who
Uh-huh.
have, and it was a blessing. So that day was capped off. The next day, God, what did we do? Just kind of went and tacked downtown Denver, saw what Denver is about,
Mm-hmm.
and everywhere. The biggest thing I took away from this trip, Bryce, is the food, and
Yeah.
and
Okay.
it helps.
And what about it?
It helps when you have our tour guides who were my brother-in-law and his fiance Savannah, who are professionals. They host people there all the time. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly where to
Yeah.
bring it to. We start off by going to an old airplane hangar in
Mm.
downtown Denver. That's now just like it's like a mini mall with a bunch of restaurants and clothing stores. and we went to a place called Denver Biscuits inside of it. And there's a little bit of mix up with how we were getting seated. They messed up on their end. The host went and told the general manager. General manager came out with the cinnamon roll. Said, "Hey, we apologize. Here's a cinnamon roll in the house." I'm like, "Oh, it's nice. It's a big one." Took a bite out of it, and this bite was life changing, Bryce. It is the best fucking cinnamon roll I've ever had in my life, and not all four of us at the table agreed. And the best way to describe it was, I'm like, "This is made with love." And
Okay.
oh my god, we couldn't stop. I'll never forget that cinnamon roll. And after that, you order, like, it's called Denver biscuits, right? You get a big biscuits.
Hmm.
You can put anything in. You can get chicken fried chicken side of it, sausage, you name it, and it was just perfect. So we were pretty stuffed leaving that. And throughout the rest of the day in Denver, you kind of attack bars that are like, uh, what's that place in Des Moines? It's like they got the big pickleball court.
Smash Park.
I've never been there, but if I had to assume that's what it's like. It's got life-size
Hmm.
bags where you're throwing cornhole. You know, you got the big ass bag and you're really throwing with your body. Life-size beer
Yeah.
pong, stuff like that. Just awesome. We got back.
That sounds really cool.
We got back from there. We saw my cousin Kelsey, who lives out in Denver. She came over and said hi with her husband Robin, their three beautiful children. Just had a grill out to finish off that night and another beautiful day. And then, go ahead, fill me in, and I'll fill you in the final day.
No, you go. I was just going to say it's amazing having family on a trip like that. Like you were saying, having the tour guide almost to bring you to all the cool spots, and then having like an actual place to go to, like to have those like intimate, like you actually almost feel like part of the community because they've showed you around, they brought you into their home. That's kind of what we got out in Salt Lake City, and it almost brings you closer to the town, like a more in-depth look. You don't feel like a tourist as much as you are like part of the whole experience. But
Yeah.
final day,
Yeah.
big one.
Yeah. So we wake up and we tack the golf course, renting clubs and everything. Pretty nice golf course, a little weedy though. So the first couple holes, we were spending a lot of times in the weed. And then we decided that we needed a Coors Light. And the second we got Coors Light in our bloodstream, we're just playing normal golf like we were in Iowa. The game got a whole lot better, a lot less lost golf balls. I capped off being the winner of a three-way game. We're playing with two other players, my wife and her brother Jaded. Close competitive day though, but beautiful. It was overcasty on a beautiful course with beautiful homes in the background. Played 18 holes in, and then went back, kind of took a nap, and geared up for a big night. Head on over the Red Rock, the real famous amphitheater, hosting some of the most famous artists and probably the best setting for a concert, especially a country concert, I would say. But we had a little trouble. Yep.
Oh no.
The weather did not want to comprehend with this concert. And by the time we got out to Red Rock, right around like 6 o'clock, right when they're about to open doors, they say, "Hey, we're in a 90-minute delay. It's raining. It's 50 degrees, windy." And I'm like, this is terrible. We went to the porta potty, got out of the car for a little bit. I'm like, I was freezing my ass off at the porta potty for like a minute and a half.
So cold, yeah.
And God, you're almost debating, like, is this worth it? You know, I like Brad Paisley, but I don't like him that freaking much. It's more about seeing the Red Rock. And I'm like, God, we just got to get in there. So we're kind of divided wherever we said, fuck it, let's go. We got in there. The wind kind of died down. It was a little bit warmer in there. It was tolerable inside Red Rock. And you just drink some drinks to kind of get that beer coating on you. And we started off with Walker Hayes. You know Walker Hayes? It's fancy like Applebee's on a date. I like Walker Hayes just from his Instagram. I think his music's terrible. Besides,
Can I be honest? Can I be honest? That song is awful.
It's catchy, but the lyrics are something else. I'll give him that. It's catchy, but his other songs just really sucked.
And when it's 50 degrees and windy,
I'm like,
it's
get Walker
maybe
Hayes
I don't
off
need to
the
see
stage.
Yeah.
But cool guy. Like I said, I love him from Instagram. You can tell he's a really nice, genuine dude and cool family. His music sucks, but Brad Paisley eventually comes on, and you're blown away by Red Rock. You're just it's unbelievable that I love that they made that place happen.
Yeah.
God, you feel like you're not in the world. You're in your own little world, and you're looking down on the artist. Usually, sometimes the artist is on top of you.
Right, because you're sitting you're almost like in a bowl.
Yep, you're in a bowl, basically.
Yeah.
And you're right. We're way towards the top with general admission tickets, but it didn't matter where you sat in that place. It was beautiful. And Brad Paisley kicked it off, and he was my first ever concert I've ever been to. So it's kind of fitting to see towards the end of his career potentially here at Red Rock
Yeah.
playing. And then so it kind of stopped raining about right when Brad Paisley started, but towards the end of his set, started misting and getting worse again. I'm like, you know what? An hour of seeing Brad Paisley in 50-degree wind and rain is enough for me. So we capped it off the
Yeah.
night, but overall, just an unbelievable trip to Denver. And we lucked out the weather because we got back here just sunny, 70, and
Yeah.
back there it's rainy and cold every day right now.
Yeah. You guys lucked out for sure. I wish it would have been a little bit nicer for you at the concert, but I mean, just to even have
Mm-hmm.
stepped foot there, that's like a historic grounds. Like you said, so many legends have played there, and I've only seen on YouTube and some live shows on TV. It looks like you're saying out of this world, and in a way that almost feels like Mars. Almost like some of the
Yeah.
sets I've seen, just they look truly out of this world. So I'm so glad you got to do that, and overall, it sounds like an awesome trip. I'd love to go tour the Coors facility sometime. That always sounds really cool.
Yeah, no, I was asked. That was the main question I was asking everybody on my way up to Colorado. I'm like, "Hey, is Red Rock overrated?" And they all looked at me if they're
Hmm.
dead serious, like, "No, it is not overrated." And
Yeah.
clearly, it wasn't. And I saw it in its worst condition possible, almost. So just to say it was so breathtaking in that view
Right.
was awesome. So yeah, Denver's a great place. I see the hype, but as always, that's why I love vacations because I come back to Iowa and I'm just happy to be here.
And Iowa kind of welcomed you with open arms and warm weather. We got some of the nicest golf days ever, back to back. Played Tournament Club of Iowa on Saturday, and a little Waveland where we played your bachelor party last year, and it couldn't have been better. We finally got those spring days with no wind, just incredible.
It reminds me.
So it's been an
Reminds me last year when we had my bachelor party at Waveland, it was just the
that
most
was the best
beautiful
golf day I've
day
ever had.
ever. It
Hmm.
honestly been the most temperature perfect day to ever step outside, let alone hit a
Yeah.
freaking golf ball, some golf clubs and beers in the
Hmm.
cart. And it was about a year ago today almost too, is when we had that.
Yep.
So
Almost identical. You know what else was almost a year ago today? We were getting some memories in our Iowa Chill Snapchat of the old tree town.
yeah, Zach Kibbe was messaging me the day after one of the parties, and he could barely see any grass. A lot of beer cans from beer carts.
Yeah, a lot of beer cans. I had a sister's graduation that day, so I missed out. But there were some memorable moments with you and Scotty B and the Kibster. I believe Dan Mao was there. That speaking of concerts, that seemed like a pretty awesome one. The only guy that I really was hoping I could get to was on her actual graduation night, and that was Dirks Bentley. I'd love to see him live
Morgan
because he
Wallen
was a
was
guy
there
I grew
too.
up with. And shit,
Yeah,
yeah,
we
early
missed
Morgan,
we
huh?
missed him though. I didn't get to see him because we didn't
Okay.
get there till a little bit later Friday. But
Shout out to that Tree Town Festival. That used to be quite the spectacle.
yeah, it was. But Bryce, it's Memorial Day, man, and you can see I got my
Hmm.
Hawkeye, Tiger,
Yep.
American flag logo sweatshirt, and I save it for very special days like today. They appreciate it,
Hmm.
show my love for this country and for my Iowa Hawkeyes. What do you got planned for the rest of the day? Yeah, it's too gorgeous to
We're
sign on
doing.
podcast, but that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, we got absolutely nothing going on.
Nice.
Darian got a dress. She found her wedding dress, which was a huge
She
success for
said
the
yes to
weekend.
the dress.
She said yes, and I think she took that picture, and you may see that on socials, you may not. So that was the biggest win of the weekend. The other big win is, last week we talked about needing the golf game to trend up. It is two very solid rounds, so I'm happy about that. And I think we're just going to get some grocery shopping and get caught up on life because it's been kind of a whirlwind of a weekend, and there's no better way to kick off a short week when you're all set and ready to go. So I don't think we have anything crazy. It's maybe a little cold for lake days and anyone that's boating. So apologies for that, but for the people that are just barbecuing and hanging out, it's a pretty good day.
Yeah.
You guys got anything else planned, or are you just kind of unpacking and relaxing?
Kind of more on your same page. We're gonna dip out to the course, but more some social media
Yeah.
stuff. We'll work with them today. Yeah, no, get caught up in life. Just got back from Denver.
Hmm.
Yesterday we got back. We were supposed to get caught up, but my childish humor wanted to go see Lilo and Stitch late night in
Yeah.
Waterloo. And
Okay, give me the rundown. What was the what's the rating on Lilo and Stitch?
Lilo and Stitch is a very nostalgic movie, and I love
Hmm.
Hawaii more than any place in the world. I've never been there, but I've been dying, and that's why I want to go, just
Yeah.
so I can get that Hawaii feel. Um, Not as good as I thought it was going to be, but it was good just to see it again. For nostalgic kid
Hmm.
feelings and seeing it in real person, uh, digital format. So it was fine. Don't highly recommend it unless if you absolutely love Lilo and Stitch. It was just funny watching if a shit ton of kids in the theater, like if a donkey turned a corner,
Hmm. Yeah.
laughing at little stuff. But no,
They were loving it.
yeah, it's good. But for the most part, just now we gotta get caught up because we did that yesterday, and just enjoy the day, just being free.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing better than being free. If you don't love it, leave it.
Yep.
USA #1.
Amen. Hey, it's one of those days. We got a good summer. You know what I was wondering? Speaking of freedom and remembering the fallen, we may have the Great American State Fair coming. Have you heard any more news about the Great American State
Not
Fair?
since the day we talked about it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't
shit.
either,
Wasn't that
and
supposed
I
to kick
hope it's
off?
still happening.
Yeah, I haven't heard
Yeah, I
anything about
think
it. That's not good.
uh, our supreme leader has made some bold predictions so far in his presidency in round two. I don't know. I assume it's still going to happen. I thought it was going to happen like 2026. So we'll have to recap and see if there's any more updates here, because that could break the internet. We could have a huge year ahead of us if that's coming to be.
It's supposed to kick off with Iowa too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we'll do some
Yep.
digging. We'll maybe touch up on that next week's podcast. Bryce, before I find out which Iowan you're going to drink a beer with, I do want to give a quick shout out to Ole Miss softball advancing to the World Series for the first time in program history. And now you're thinking, Nathan, why in the hell are we talking about Ole Miss softball?
Mm-hmm.
Well, my first cousin Angie Freilich is married to the head coach of Ole Miss, Jamie.
Okay.
So,
well, congratulations.
yeah. So here's the
that is awesome.
She used to be the head coach for Minnesota. Now she did such a successful job down there. She got up to the SEC softball. Ole Miss built a brand new softball stadium, and now they advanced to the World Series for the first time. So big time in the family. So shout out to Jamie and Angie and all my Ole Miss rebels in the Freilich family.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congrats to the family. That's way cool. Good luck out there.
God, and so we talk about doing nothing today, Bryce, but I look out that weather and it's Memorial. I kind of want a beer. And these three Iowans walk up to your doorstep, Bryce, and we're trying to figure out which one you're going to have a beer with. A.
Okay, here we go.
Keith Murphy, local legend of Des Moines radio, along with his partner. B. Andy Fales.
Okay.
Or C. The legend from Waterloo, Ron Steele.
Those are three titans of the media industry. They've been around a long, long time. We said goodbye to Mr. Steele earlier in the season of the Iowa Chill Show, and he's been bringing us weather for a long time. Keith is one of my absolute favorite sports personalities in the entire state. He always tells it how it is. He's respectful. He embraces the hate as well as the love. Andy is hilarious. I've always loved What's Bugging Andy since I was a kid. I'm going to have to go Keith, but that's a very, very solid list.
You can't go wrong with either. Andy Fales might be the one that could go wrong. You might say something wrong, and Andy will let you know ASAP what you're feeling. That's Andy Fales for you. I do love Andy.
Oh, and the last thing I want is to end up on What's Bugging Andy. It's all of a sudden the Iowa Chill Show.
Yeah, we had a beer. What's Bugging Andy? Bryce and Nate bugging.
Yeah, these guys.
So we don't need that. Ron Steele would have some legendary stories. I'd like to see all the amazing things he's said and done, reported on. But I got to agree with you.
Who's yours?
Back-to-back weeks, Bryce. I'm going Keith Murphy with you. You just can't beat Keith Murphy. Just a joyful presence. I feel like he gives off a ray of energy and sunshine to be around. Keith Murphy, we are having a beer with you.
Yep. Yeah, and I got to actually cheers Keith at the Bacon Fest a couple of weeks ago, and to have a couple extra more minutes and talk about the history of sports media and the upcoming seasons for the Hawkeyes and Cyclones and in 2025 would be a lot of fun. I have a hard time not picking Keith. That's a good list.
As we lay here on May 26th on this beautiful day, what can be better than this beautiful day? Well, let me tell you here in Waterloo records for May 26th, Bryce. A record high of 94 degrees Fahrenheit was set back in the year 1967. I feel like every time we've done this record high shit for the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's been exactly 94 degrees. I don't know. It just feels that way. Lowest temperature, I'm glad it's not today because it's 33 degrees set back in 1961. Most precipitation, 1.61 inches set in 1986. Seems about right for a May festivity. The low is a little surprising. That's freaking cold, man. Damn. But the average high is 75 degrees, which seems like we're the average high today.
That would be perfect, especially next year at this time, because in about 369 days, your boy gets married. And I would love for a 75-degree day to be on the menu that day.
God, you can't beat that. That's
I do. It cannot have 33 degrees.
We wanted a May wedding but it was this. You know how wedding venues are; they're booked 20 years in advance,
Mm-hmm.
so you kind of
Yep.
pick your poison. We luckily we got like a mid June, which it was just a
Mm-hmm.
windy day that day, but for the most part, it was
Yeah,
a
you
pretty
get.
good day.
Yeah, you guys had a pretty good day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing really I mean, a little bit. Actually, you know what? I take that back. A huge day for the May 26th history here in the state of Iowa, as it is the
Okay.
birth of iconic actor John Wayne in Winterset in
Oh wow,
1907.
that is a big one. Happy
John
birthday to
Wayne.
Mr. John Wayne.
God, he's just that sucks because now his every time I think of John Wayne, I don't think of the actor. I think of John Wayne Gacy, who had a
Yeah.
I mean, John Wayne's
Yeah.
way old for our time to really know anything about, but he's a big name. But man, what's the coincidence that you have John Wayne Gacy in your name,
I know.
basically?
Just such. That's one of the. It's inadvertently very, very funny when somebody's trending on Twitter or in the news and it's like the same name as a public figure, and you're like, you do a double take almost. It's like, what? Tom Cruise just murdered somebody, and it's like, yeah, different Tom Cruise.
And then you forget that John Wayne Gacy had himself a little stint in Waterloo, Iowa, for a while. So
I didn't even know that until Emma Criswell on our team did a famous people from Iowa or
yeah,
famous like true crime, and I had no idea that we had a little history with Mr. Gacy.
yeah, that was
Unfortunate history,
yeah.
but
I learned that from that's when he first got like some charge set to him. But no, there's a story in a documentary they did on Netflix, and the guy from Iowa talks about his experience with John Wayne Gacy and Waterloo right before his serial killing kind of kicked off. Otherwise,
yeah,
that guy
that's
might not be here.
terrifying.
So yeah, no, he definitely had himself a little stunt. Not a whole bunch of Iowa news. We're just trying to keep it somewhat short and simple for the people here, so you guys can get out and to go enjoy the sunshining. Because I know you're all waiting to hear the good word from us. To appreciate the rest of your week here in the state of Iowa. But this story is awesome because it was Iowa State track week here this previous week, and Western Dubuque's
Yep.
Quentin Nauman makes history by breaking 4 minutes in the 1,600-mile run at the Iowa State track meet. Next day,
Hmm.
Bryce, Quentin went back home to work at Hy-Vee stocking the dairy aisle. Quentin
Incredible.
Nauman, you are my Iowan of the week.
Well deserved. And if I'm not mistaken, he might have set an 800 record too. My dad's sending me all this track stuff. He was a big trackster back in the day. I don't follow it super closely, but he's been keeping me updated. Um, I want to say Quentin also broke some
He
records
did.
in.
He broke at 800. I think he ran
Yeah,
below like a 150.
he ran below a 150
And
800.
so that 800 accomplishment and the 1,600 accomplishment were all on the same day. And that itself, Bryce, wasn't just an Iowa record. It was a United States of America record because they were
Yeah.
both broken in the same day or something like that. I'm not exactly
Hmm.
how the record
Yeah.
showed up, but mother effer.
That you're right.
You're a
You got
dog.
it. First got to do it in the same day. And he's only a junior, committed to the Oregon Ducks. This guy's got a pretty bright future, and I love that he's bagging groceries on the side as well.
Yeah.
Uh, Nate, it's been about 75 years since the first man ever broke 4 minutes in the mile, Mr. Roger Bannister from, I believe, Great Britain. And now we've got high schoolers in Iowa doing it. It's pretty cool to see the level of training and genetics continue to improve.
It's scary and crazy, man, just to see
Hmm.
like the type of athletes that were 2 decades ago breaking these records. Like, there's
Hmm.
no way anyone's ever going to break these records. And then
Yep.
people getting stronger, faster, quicker, more athletic, and these
Hmm.
records just keep getting broke. At some point, it's got to stop. You're going to have people running a minute freaking mile all of a sudden before you
Yeah.
freaking know it. But shout out to Quentin, man. That's
Yeah.
all I
Very
heard all
cool.
week. I had people message me when I was in Colorado. Hey, I got your sports topic of the week. Shout out to Mickey Hines, track coach at
Yes.
Williamsburg, hit me up. Say, hey, man, you got to talk about this. I'm like, trust me, we will be. That's big time news.
Yeah. That it'd be fun to watch him in the senior season. Pray for a healthy finish to this season, and very excited to see what Quentin's up to next.
On the flip side of things, we don't have such good positive news as there's a male missing in the Des Moines River. Sounds like there was a boat crash outside Eddyville on Sunday, yesterday, with two people. The one person was found and rescued safely, thank the Lord. However, rescue searchers are still in search for a male in the Des Moines River near Eddyville. I know they called the search off last night. I would assume they presume first thing this morning. As the latest update, I haven't seen anything. He very well could be found by now, but just prayers and thoughts with his family, especially with the person who he's with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hadn't heard much about this story, and when it gets nicer and you're on the boats and everyone's out doing more things, obviously, just a good
Well,
reminder to be safe out there.
yeah, especially because the river's been so low, but for the last couple weeks. But then we had that fresh fall of rain here right before I went to
Hmm.
Colorado. I want that kind of spark things up. You're familiar with a lower river. Also, could get a higher couple inches. Things start getting a little more
Hmm.
reckless out there. But stay safe, especially your Memorial Day weekend when people, the unofficial day of summer is what the United States really says is Memorial Day,
Yep.
and that's all my memories is going up the Okoboji. Might be a little chilly for
Hmm.
some water, but people find themselves in
Yeah,
some water.
I know. I know those water people are a little bit jealous that it wasn't a little bit nicer, but hey, you can't complain too much. We had a pretty nice May, all things considered. Um, Shit, fuck. I mean, yeah, keep an eye on this. That's a kind of a tragic story.
Bryce, we talked. I don't know if it was last episode, but maybe the episode before. Is Tyrese Halliburton the biggest named
Mm-hmm.
athlete to ever
Mm-hmm.
come out of Iowa State University? And I was teetering the fence, but like, well, I think maybe Brock Purdy. Tyrese Halliburton is trying to make that his name. That's for damn sure. As he is giving them the Reggie Miller chokehold game-winning
Yeah.
shots against the New York Knicks in the Garden. They did fall
Yep.
last night by giving up a 20-point lead to the Knicks, but they do have a slight edge in the series, a 2-1 in the series. And that's fine for the Pacers, man. That's right where you want to be. You got another game at home. Get this thing to 3-1 and get the job done. Tyrese Halliburton has been stone cold killer in the series.
Yeah.
Scoring a bunch of points, no, but he's contributing every which way, which he typically
Mm-hmm.
does. And he's pitting the freaking Indianapolis on the map with Caitlin Clark. Iowans getting it done.
Yeah. Indiana is like Iowa number two.
It really is.
It's pretty fun to see what's happening over there. Was that choke a little bit premature? Yes. Tyrese did not close out the game with that what seemed to be a 3-pointer,
Ridiculous
and
shot, though.
I believe it came out maybe a day or so later. He's like talking to his teammates. He's like, "Hey, I did the Reggie Miller choke thing. We have to win in overtime now," and they did, and they prevailed. So he didn't end up getting roasted too hard, but he said that he's probably retiring the choke. It's he said that the kids are going to start saying that he's aura farming if he continues to do and replicate what the legends have done in the past. I think that's smart. Very excited. I would love to see Anthony Edwards versus Tyrese Halliburton in the playoffs. I know that
Yeah.
I think the Wolves are down 1-2
Yeah.
right now,
At,
but
at
that
that
would be cool.
at that point, you really can't go wrong. Two new teams into it.
Hmm.
I do cheer for Minneapolis teams. Uh,
Hmm.
but I love Indianapolis papers. Tyrese Halliburton is like I said, I'm like such a good dude, right? We have such
Hmm.
awesome role models who are very high in the world perspective sport, representing the state of Iowa and their
Yep.
character, and so it's just awesome to see. And he's doing it alongside of his sidekick, or either one of them could be a sidekick to each other, Caitlin Clark, because
Yep.
Ryan Brewer, an expert on valuations, Bryce, says that Caitlin Clark could help bring the WNBA up to $875 million this year. But he also said he wouldn't be surprised if it
Yeah.
passed $1 billion.
Yeah. The big storyline, and I was jokingly saying that Dave Portnoy won a bet that's greater than any salary in the WNBA. Things like 850 million, a billion, all of a sudden you get your players paid a little bit better.
A lot better.
Things are going to be trending up, and your life is going to be better with Caitlin Clark. So maybe be a little bit kinder to her on the floor because she's going to bring in some viewers and make the league a little bit better.
Absolutely. You couldn't have put that any better. It's something we've been preaching about for years. As we continue to see these numbers grow, they're not just, they're big, but they're freaking growing. You're telling me the
Hmm.
WNBA is about to be a potential $1 billion league. And
Yeah.
we had years ago, well, I don't know if they do anymore, but I know the NBA was having the fun, some of the WNBA
Oh, it's
franchises.
yeah. I mean, it still,
I
yeah.
don't know the
Yep.
exact numbers. I knew that was happening, but it
Hmm.
might be the other way around moving forward because the Angel Reese game uh, it was like the most viewed game versus any NBA game, any MLB game all season long, and that was the first
Hmm.
game of the season for the Fever. So yeah, it's just the Caitlin Clark effect. We talk about it every show, and so does everybody else in the world.
Yeah, it's going to be good for everybody, especially guys like us who make a living off of talking about other people doing cool things. We just comment on it.
And dude, I tell you what, we before we get into the top five segment, I want to talk about last week's five segment. We ranked Storm Lake as the
Yes.
fifth most irrelevant town in the state of Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
And man, did we get some, for the most part, people disagreeing with us. I think we had over 550 some shares on our Instagram page, a bunch on TikTok,
Yep.
thousands, hundreds of thousands of views between the two clips. And also, you had your Storm Lake people defending it, which rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, people, when we get in these segments, we're the two most average Joes. They should never take too seriously. We kind of go for our biased feels on it. We pit this 5 ranking probably within 5-10 minutes of each other. So
Yep.
not a lot of research, anything dug into it. With that being said, I would pick any town in Iowa for 100 years in a row to live in versus living outside of state, I think. So
Yes.
you could
Yes.
be Illinois.
Look, you brought up the phrase "love it or leave it." I'm never leaving it. That's for
Nope.
sure. Even if I got to live in Storm Lake or Ottumwa or Clinton, I'm staying.
But we just like to have a little fun sometimes. Sometimes we just speak what's on our mind and just have a good time and roll forward with this. So thanks for everyone for tuning in, because we're going to get into our top 5 segment of the week.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be ranking our top 5 high schools in the state of Iowa. And we kind of chatted prior, like how are we going to go about these rankings. We're not academic guys. We never have been. We're okay, but we're not looking at scholar programs here. We're looking at athletic programs. Is this high school in a good community, an up and coming community, a nice, well kept community, good reputation, and I think that's exactly how I rank mine.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, I kind of put this one together on a whim. It's a Memorial Day weekend. It had a couple appointments this morning, so I really truly put this together in about 5 minutes. But between the sports programs, between a little bit of education, and like you said, the town, put this list together.
All right, Bryce, I'm going to hit you with my number 5, Dyke New Hartford.
Okay.
Mainly because of the women's basketball program there. I think they won like 3 state
Mm-hmm.
championships in a row by just obliterating everybody. The football program's good. Now, I
Mm-hmm.
know they went to the state championship last year. We're going to be having Grundy Center people up my ass on this one. Well, Grundy Center's won 2 in a row, and they have been probably the most
Yeah.
dominant football team in the state. But, I feel a little bit more diversified with Dyke's golf team,
Mm-hmm.
very solid football program, and an unbelievable women's basketball program. I know they didn't get the job done last year, but I'm speaking a little bit recent here, and just a great community. I'm very involved in the
Mm-hmm.
Dyke community with the golf course, and I like to see
Up and coming community
yes,
too.
I like to see where things are going with this place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Cedar Falls expansion is only going to help Dyke expansion. I think it's a great community to live in. It reminds me of like one of those Van Meter towns that we've talked about quite a few times on this show, where you live kind of close to the happenings, but you still get that rural feel. And like you said, lots of success lately. And I'm going to go the same direction. It's a little smaller community outside a bigger metro, Clear Creek, Amana, and the Tiffin community.
Yay.
Lots of sports success, quality graduation rates, lots of employment opportunity. This is a top 5 high school I think I'd want my kids to go to.
Really? All right. So I used to live in
Mm-hmm.
the Tiffin era, and I did go to the
Yeah.
CCA football game as my buddy Mickey was coaching there, an assistant coach. But
Mm-hmm.
I saw some things at that stadium. Okay. I'm
Okay.
not gonna pit into detail what I saw, but enough to be like, wow, it's high school. And then a bunch of my
Yeah. Okay.
coworkers went to CCA and they talk shit about it. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So
might get
once again,
Yeah.
the legitimacy of these rankings once again gets a huge hit.
What's your number 4, brother?
Iowa City West. This is heavily influenced by, I believe, another top in the whole state in graduation, but quality sports success. Iowa City's quality community makes a list for those reasons.
Iowa City West is going to be an honorable mention for me. In my list, it is important to note that I stayed away from 4A schools. Actually, no, I lied.
Okay.
I have a 4A school in there. I really stayed away from metro schools for sure. The metro's all you almost have to do its own ranking just for the metropolitan schools up here in the Des Moines area. But Iowa City West was notorious during that Jeremy Morgan stretch. Connor McCaffrey's, Patrick McCaffrey's, where they just kept winning state championship after state championship in basketball. And it's right on the Melrose there. Beautiful side of town. If you're going to be in Iowa City, you want to be on that side of town. Like, location is important. Shout out to the Trojans of the Iowa City West. Bryce, my number 4 is touching home with you a little bit here. The Van Meter is your town. It's your go-to town, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful location, and I can't go anywhere in sports season without seeing their name in some type of participant in the state championships or state
Hmm.
qualifiers. Van Meter, our dogs, and I know the
Hmm.
baseball's stacked, right?
Yeah, baseball's been good forever, and now
Football,
football always competing, and yeah, it's one of those situations where I think Waukee's growing so fast. I think it's still one of the fastest growing in the nation as far as like small town communities, and there's a need. You'll see on my number three, it's a school that had to split off because enrollment was so high. There was a fellow I was talking to this weekend who went to Waukee High School when it was 800 kids that he graduated with, and they didn't have the infrastructure for it. They obviously split. You've got Northwest, you've got OG Waukee, but so many kids in this area now open enrolling to Van Meter, and I believe until Van Meter can improve their facilities, they're going to have to cut off open enrollment for a minute.
God, man,
I think they're
I'm
at
so happy I
capacity.
went to a smaller school, not 800 kids in my
Hmm.
class.
And
Oh,
isn't that
that
insane?
is insane. Yeah, that like I said, I can't even rank that area. It's crazy to see where it is. Uh, my number three, back up in my neck of the woods, Clear Lake. Clear Lake is a
Hmm.
town. What kind of whatever about it? The lake doesn't get the best rep. Some people do appreciate the lake. The high school really carries it there. It's growing up, it was in my conference. They were top tier for sure in every sport,
Hmm.
always football, basketball. Ever since I've graduated, they're top tier in Class 3A, not just the conference anymore.
Hmm.
Uh, they went undefeated all year long for the state men's basketball. Got to the championship this year. Couldn't get the job done against, I can't remember what school that was up in Northwest Iowa. It's a Dutch school, MOC Floyd Valley. Uh,
MOC.
their football programs, you do not want to run these dudes from Clear Lake. Uh,
Yeah.
so a lot of history there. Track, especially, they had a girl there that's won like 8 state medals or something like that this year. Dogs, dogs, Clear Lake
Yeah.
line.
Good. Good. Yeah. And it's funny that we're giving a lot of weight to athletics, but there's like some like very clear stats. Like if you have quality athletics, it kind of leads a lot of um, the stats on graduation, and anyone involved in like as a student athlete ends up being a better chance of success. So it's like, to me, I was trying to include education in some of this stuff, but it's like at the same time, like if you have quality athletics, it usually is a good indicator for other
Right.
quality things in your school district. And you'll see this in my number three, Waukee Northwest. I brought them up. Relatively new school and tons of success. And they really make the list because I'm like, I don't know if I'd want my kid in a school of 400 people per graduating class, 500, whatever it is now. But I would like them participating in all those facilities. And
Yeah.
just living here now, it's a nice town. They just put in one of like the most expensive rec plexes in the entire state, maybe in the Midwest, like a $20 million sportsplex for basketball and volleyball and that sort of thing. It's a community where you're going to have a lot of access, and that's why it's got to be on this list.
Yeah. It's almost like any high school nowadays. I feel like the second you graduate, they get a brand new gym. That's exactly what happened in
Yep.
my high school. We had to play in the slickest court in the world,
Uh-huh.
dust built on top of it. We'd have to take mops and wet towels and go over it every single day before practice. Now, a whole new gymnasium. But yeah, shout out to all these kids playing these awesome venues. Good for you guys. My wait, I think was that your number three?
Yep.
So hit me with your number two.
I'm going to circle back with Decorah, uh, one of the dominant towns in the Northeast Iowa area. I don't know the success that they've had lately in the 3A, 4A realm of football and basketball, but they've always been competitive since we were young. You'll see them at the Cedar Falls Unidome. You'll see them competing in wrestling. Just a quality community in general, and felt wrong to not include one of the pillar communities in the entire state.
Yeah, Decorah was ranked number one in basketball this year for men's. They
Yeah.
lost to a Cedar Rapids team. I can't remember which team it was, and sub-state, I believe, or district championship, but they were the number one team in the state. Uh, and then Decorah has the best high school location, literally, in
Hmm.
the entire state. It's right in that bowl, off the mountainside view there, and you got the whole
Yeah.
mountain in the background near a river. It's beautiful. I mean, the entire town of Decorah is beautiful.
Hmm.
We talked about multiple times on this location, but the literally best spot in town is right where the high school is. So bonus
Yeah.
points for that.
Yep.
My number two is Cedar Falls. That's my 1-4A team
Yeah.
that didn't make
Good one.
it. they finally got that brand new high school. They had one of the worst high schools I
Mm-hmm.
thought in the state, location wise, right? Down, old, outdated. I don't think us pitting up or staying with the up and growing population. They moved to the west
Mm-hmm.
side of town, right near University of Northern Iowa. So you really have two major campuses going right at it, and the
Yeah.
football stadium is built right there too. Beautiful. I feel like whenever since AJ Green started there as a freshman, the sports community at Cedar Falls
Mm-hmm.
has been up and growing. You're seeing them ranked in football. They won a couple. They won back-to-back state championships. AJ Green's senior year, the year he left with Jack Campbell, the notorious Iowa linebacker from Cedar Falls, who's now a starter for the Detroit Lions. Uh, Eichenbacher guy, offensive lineman
Mm-hmm.
from Iowa, played at Cedar Falls. Yeah, and always top tier.
Yeah, Cedar Falls is a great community, and like you said, like they needed that improvement. The town grew,
They were really
and the
irrelevant
kids
for a
outgrew the
while
school.
in
Mm-hmm.
athletics. I feel like until AJ Green kind of took a hold of that community, and then I think their volleyball was number
Agreed.
one in state for how many years in a row. So
Mm-hmm.
clearly, this area is up and growing in athletics, as including the small surrounding towns with Grundy Center, Dyke, New Hartford, all that. So here we
Mm-hmm.
go, Bryce. My number one is gonna hit home with you, brother. The Dutchman, Opella. These guys are never not in state.
You
Unbelievable.
got me as well.
Number
Number
one,
one, Pella Dutchman.
you have
Mm-hmm.
to give it to them. And
Yeah.
you knew anytime you played a Dutch school in sports, you were fucked. Everybody was going to be,
MOC, Floyd
they were
Valley,
going to
Pella. These Dutch schools are dangerous
Boyden
in
Hall.
sports.
They were all going to be three,
Mm-hmm.
4 inches taller than you. You were screwed.
Yep.
Dutch are just on a different level. Obviously, Pella, beautiful town too.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, for as long as I can ever remember, it's always been the Dutch. You know, your football,
Yep.
except for when you went there, you guys could not get to state. They got rid of Bort Scheller, and the Dutch go to state. What? How many? God knows times in a row. They had the core.
Shout out to the guys. They went 3-peat after we left. That you're right. As soon as we got rid of my class, they decided it was time to win some state championships, and it stayed relevant for many years. Coach McKinstry finished off his final season this past fall, but he finished with a bang. He won, I want to say, 4 championships in the span of like 8 or 9 years. So aside from all the sports success, pretty much across the board, you have access to a lot of great arts programs, and just typical small town Iowa taking a very serious approach to education. 96% graduation rate. The number one knock on Pella is the diversity, and well, there isn't a lot of diversity in southern Iowa, but the old guard of the Dutchman is probably leaving, and I like to think that community is just becoming more and more welcoming. Whenever I get back there, it's always fun to go back. Like you said, beautiful town, access to a lot of good resources there, and it definitely deserves a number one ranking.
I'm a little surprised Solon didn't make any of our list.
Yeah,
You either really hate them or you like them, type of feel. But maybe
yeah.
we need to do a. God, we should almost do eventually in the
Mm.
future when we start running out of these freaking segments, when we'll have to start like cutting them up like top 1A schools. Maybe the next time we do this list, Bryce, we'll do the top 5 private Catholic schools in Iowa. Uh,
Okay.
we'll have to
Yeah.
start splitting up these schools because there's a lot of well-respected schools out there in the state of Iowa, and that's another reason why I'm so proud to be in this state, man. Love the towns, love the sports community. This Iowa is really building off of. Just a lot of
Yeah.
promising things moving forward.
There is. I mean, there's tons of schools that I was researching too in my 5 to 10 minutes that I was researching. Like Gilbert, North Liberty. Like there's tons of great communities out there, and if we didn't list them, it's not because they're not great. It's just because, thankfully, we have a lot to choose from.
Yeah. This is any one of these top 100 schools could have easily be put in the top 5 almost. Like I said, 5 to 10 minutes of deep dive from us both. Might not have given the most justice, but hey, a lot of rankings left moving forward. We're gonna keep highlighting the best things about this state. Sometimes we'll highlight some things that are kind of funny about this state, and you might not like it. It is how it is, but we love the state. We love the humor here. We love the people. We love our universities, colleges, towns, high schools, you name it. And my God, that we love this country because it is Memorial Day. So people, go out there, have yourself an awesome Memorial Day, a short week. Let's get back to the grind.
Let's do it. We'll see everybody next week.